Hello all and welcome back to another video of True Leaders Grow Here. I'm Tristan Cope, the K-State Research and Extension Agent in Marion County for Family and Consumer Sciences and 4-H Youth Development. And today we have two special guests joining us to talk about their clothing project.
Hi, I'm Alyssa Bowden, and I'm from the Gospel Goal Getters 4-H Club, and this is my 10th year in 4-H and my 10th year in the Sewing Project.
Hi, I'm Elise Bowden. This is also my 10th year in 4-H, 10th year in the Clothing Project, and my 11th year in 4-H, and I'm also from the Gospel Goal Getters 4-H Club.
And today we're just showing you on our sample fabric how to sew on a button. So you'll first take your fabric, and most of the time it's going to be like double layered, so I have folded it in half, so then you have both the sides of the fabric. And then you're going to need to take your thread and cut it to a length that will be long enough. Generally, it doesn't have to be too terribly long, especially if your button is a lot smaller, but it will be folded in half, so you want it to be still fairly long. So we're going to take our scissors, and we're going to cut us some thread. And then next you're going to thread your tiny little needle. There should be a little hole in the top for threading the needle through it. So now that we have our knot and it's on our needle, also this helps because our needle cannot fall off the thread as you are pulling it through. So now you're going to take your fabric and you're going to want to, wherever you're going to place your button, you're going to go like a few inches, not even like a centimeter away from where you're going to start. And you're going to put the needle through it, and you're going to pull it all the way. And then you're going to want to go back up super close. So now it's through the back side of it. Mm-hmm. And then you're going to want to poke it just pretty much right next to it. And on your way up, you're going to take your button, which we're going to start with our 2-hole button, and you're going to put it through one of the holes of the button. So then you pull it through, and then you're going to want to trim your thread that you started with your knot, so then that's not visible once you started going through, and it will make it a lot easier to be able to trim it. And yeah, like 4-H wise, judges love to see that your threads are trimmed. Like they look for that, like, oh, can I see your threads? And so it's always good to double check and cut your threads. So now that we have our button threaded through, we're going to take it across and go to our other small button hole that's right next to it. And then you're just going to continue going. It'll go all the way through to the bottom. So now I'm poking through the other back side, and I'm going to pull it. And then I'm going to go back to, you can almost see like where your last knot was, and so you know where your other buttonhole is. And you're gonna, if you miss the buttonhole, you'll be able to feel it and find the little small buttonhole. After I've done that a few times, I'll show you how to end it, because you're going to want to reinforce it depending on the fabric you're using and depending on like the type of button, whether it's a small button or bigger button. So now I have gone through my button. I think I did it 4 times because it's a thicker button, so it's going to need to hold on first. So now that we're on the outside, on the top side of our button, we're going to go back through the hole, but we're not going to poke through the fabric this time. We're going to pull it through right here instead. And so now your thread is just on the outside of it. It's underneath the button, but it's not through the fabric. And so now you're going to want to loop it around your button at least 3 times. This helps reinforce the thread. And then once you have done that, you're going to find a little spot, and you're just going to go lightly through the top layer of it. And as you are doing that, you're going to put it through this is how you're going to make your knot. You're going to loop it through the needle and the thread like that, and then you're going to pull it. You're going to want to do that twice because it will helps reinforce it. So you're going to go back around and back up and make another loop. And sometimes when your thread gets shorter, it's harder to do, but if you pull your needle all the way through, then you'll be able to still go through the tiny loop that's left. Now it's going to be reinforced, and you're going to be able to cut your thread, and you will have your perfect sewed on button. This is the final of our button. It is intact on this side, and all you see is the tiny little yellow loops on top of the blue. On the back side, you will still be able to see small stitches, but it doesn't really make much of a difference. And sometimes pattern or whatever you're sewing on will call specifically for you just to go through the top layer, but that's more of a challenge. So it's much easier to start with a simple button like this where you go through the back side and it doesn't really matter.
And like
you're smaller or you're taller, you can adjust that for yourself. Whereas like usually if you go shopping, that doesn't always happen. Sometimes something might be way too short, but then if you get a bigger size, then it's way too big. So yeah, I also really enjoy that because finding stuff that I actually want to wear, like especially if it's dress clothes or something, I'm gonna find I can sew it myself, and I can design it, and I can figure out exactly what I want, and it will fit me perfectly, and it's just suited for me. And so that's always a really great thing about sewing my own clothes.